Good morning, everyone. My name is Thomas McDonough. This is my colleague, Lee McCardle. We're here to present to you this morning from UHY Farrelly dawe White. I'd like to start by thanking Catherine and the team in DKIT for allowing us to present this morning. I know traditionally we've done the presentations live and in person, be it in the lecture theatres in Dundalk and in the MPC, where I suppose we probably ended up presenting to you at some stage, Lee, in the MPC years ago. So yeah, thanks to the guys in DKIT for letting us present today. I said, unfortunately, we're not there in person. Hopefully, maybe next year we'll get back on campus and actually get speaking to you guys again. So I'm just probably this morning we're going to be reasonably sort of casual and not too formal, which is kind of the way we like to do stuff here in Farrelly dawe White. So I'll give you a brief bit of history about myself, talk about the firm. I'll let Lee talk about himself as well. He talk about his time at DKIT as well. And then we speak about the roles they're actually looking for at the minute and give you a little bit of flavour of what we'd expect from candidates and then what candidates can expect from us. So in moving on, as I said, my name is Thomas McDonough. I'm a director in UHY Farrelly dawe White. We trade as a limited company. So a director is essentially the same as what would traditionally be a partner. I'm CPA qualified. I'm actually a Dundalk IT graduate myself. I graduated the accounting and finance course, I think it was 99 through to 2002. I don't know if Shane Hill is online, he may or may not correct what I'm going to say next. I think we were possibly the second or third year of the course, but we can fact check that one. As I said, CPA qualified. I started as a trainee here actually in Farrelly dawe White in 2003. Sat my exams across a number of years, travelled to Australia, worked in Dublin for a while, worked in firms in the Dundalk, and then came back to Farrelly dawe White as a senior manager and now director. So there is progression within the firm, as Lee can attest to, and I can attest to as well. And it's good to see, it's good to see graduates from the Dundalk and from the local environment actually coming back in and working in a firm and progressing on. So. Oh, I think Pat, thank you, Pat. Started in 97, yeah, so it was the second year to start it. That's pretty cool to know.
Still on the ball, Pat. Good to see you.
Yeah. So a little bit about Farrelly dawe White. We were founded in Dundalk in 1989. It was Alan Farrelly and Kevin Dawe started the firm. They were later joined by Eamon White, which is the Farrelly dawe White. With 4 offices through the country at the minute. The primary locations being Dundalk and Balbriggan. We're across those 2 sites. We have approximately 75 staff. We have 5 directors: Alan Farrelly, managing director and founding partner; Michael Bellew, Richard Berney, myself, and Martina Gribben. Again, we're split across a number of sort of disciplines, would you say, where some of the guys are strong in solvency and tax. Myself and Martina look after audit. I look after a lot of charity clients and stuff like that as well, so there's a good depth and knowledge. We, as you see, the UHY letters at the beginning of the name, UHY Farrelly dawe White. UHY is a global network of, I think we're in about 100 countries. It's headquartered in London in the UK with major offices all through the US, but in about 100 countries across the world. We're a very active member of the UHY network. Alan Farrelly, our MD, is actually on the global board of UHY. I think in 2019, we hosted the EMEA conference in Dublin, where we had a couple hundred delegates from all across the world at a conference in Dublin, which was quite interesting. We are one of the top 20 firms in Ireland, and we're sort of growing on almost a weekly basis. There's always stuff coming in the door, but we've grown by acquisition somewhat over the last number of years. We've acquired small practices in and around Dublin and a portion of a larger business in Dublin as well. So we've got a good scope on what is probably the M1 corridor through Dublin and Belfast, and that's our major focus. Our services, there's a whole list of them there. We're what you would refer to as a full service practice. So you have some practices that would be maybe niche into certain bits and pieces. We are actually a full service practice. We have 75 staff who are sort of split across all the different services. Our core services are audit and assurance, business advisory, and tax compliance and corporate compliance to a lesser extent. And what is probably more of a growing service, and maybe Lee might touch on it at some stage, is cloud accounting. So I don't know, Pat, if in the accounting streams I know we used to do a Sage module back whenever I was in DKIT. Now we're looking at the likes of Xero, Big Red Books, Surf Accounts, whatever, where you're totally cloud hosted. You're looking at real-time information. Lee sort of champions and heads up our business division on that, along with myself. We, as well as UHY Farrelly White, we have a number of other sort of sister companies and specialist companies that sit alongside us. So the main business is UHY FDW. As that's the audit tax advisory. Set aside from that, we have a corporate compliance company, which looks after all corporate filings with the CRO. We have a personal corporate insolvency company, which I don't know if you're familiar with the term PIP, where people are personal insolvency practitioners, where we deal with corporate and personal insolvency. We have a business advisory, and then we have a trust and corporate services company. Trust and corporate services is very much dealing with high net worth individuals and the families of high net worth individuals, where we set up structures to, you're looking at long-term planning into the protection of wealth and moving businesses, in through second and third generations, etc. Separate from that, we have One Finance, a sister company that looks after pensions, and Cheetah Money, which is a fintech, sort of a Revolut type business, but we leave it a fintech. So just in summary, who are we? Farrelly White, established in Dundalk just over 30 years. We have international reach, a national presence, and local knowledge. We've been long-term partners of DKIT in that, I myself, joined here from 2003 after graduating in 2002. Lee, what year were you?
Yeah, I graduated in 2017.
2017 and joined. Well, you did a summer previously.
I did. I started in 2016, just after second year. I did 3 months here in the summer.
Yeah, so we've been working with DKIT for a fair while, and it's exciting. As I said, we're glad to be back on here again. So I'm going to let Lee speak maybe just a little bit about himself, a bit of an intro, and how he found training. Because as I said, if I joined here in 2003, my training is probably very different to Lee's training at this stage.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good to get the opportunity to speak to you this morning. I just want to give you an overview of what I'd like to speak on today. So, as I said, I just want to touch on my career in DKIT, where my career has gone to date since then, why I chose to come to FTW, and my study and my professional exams since then, and the experience that I've gained on the job to date. So, as I said, I started in DKIT in 2014. I joined as a mature student. I came from a background of 10 years in the hospitality industry. I was looking for something with maybe better hours and something that I could suit my lifestyle a bit better. And I'm glad to say that I chose the Accountants and Finance course in Dundalk. An excellent course, and you'll be glad to know anyone who's studying at the minute. It gives you an excellent footing as you come into your office career. It gives you a wide range of knowledge, and you will hit the ground running when you get into the office environment. While I was in DKIT, I done my research on which accountancy body that I'd like to continue my studies with. The best advice I could give anyone is do all your online research. Look at what best suits your lifestyle, what will best suit you going forward, who has the most information online. Get speaking to someone who's actually sat exams with that accountancy body, see what suits you best. While I was in DKIT, I signed up with the Accelerate program with ACCA. The reason I signed with them, because I thought they had the most information available online. They give you the most flexibility on when you can actually sit your exams, and they gave the most exemptions. So I gained 9 exemptions to my exams in DKIT, and it's a testament to Shane and the guys on the course that they're running in DKIT that they gained 9 exemptions. So it's a great benefit and boost when you start your career that you have 9 exams passed already, and you can go straight into your professional exams.
Sorry, Lee, do you mind just to jump in for a second, not to steal Lee's thunder here? I know Lee mentioned that he's actually ACCA qualified. I'm CPA qualified, but we actually, at this point in time, we have trainees with us doing CPA, ACCA, and the chartered exams. So if you have a preference for either or all, don't let that be a deciding factor, that we we accommodate all of the institutes.
Yeah, and as I said, when I joined the UHY FTW as an internship in the summer of 2016, just after my second year in DKIT, and just back and preparing for today, I looked at my notes at that time, and to give you a snapshot of the wide range of jobs that you could be working on in your time here. In the 3 months that I spent working here, I worked on an international web-based retailer, an audit, a local fruit and veg stall owner, a nationwide landscape designer, an international corporate travel agent, a local pub restaurant, a wedding dressmaker, farmer, and hairdressers. So it shows you there's a wide range of clients that we have and the wide range of experience that you can possibly gain when you're working here. And I'm glad to say that the guys here offered me a training contract. So when I finished my studies in DKIT in 2017, I rejoined as a trainee accountant. And in the meantime, I've passed my professional exams and finished my 3 years training. So I qualified as an accountant with ACCA in 2020, despite the best efforts of COVID. I got over time. And why I wanted to work with FTW. So as I said, when I was leaving the hospitality industry, I was looking for something more challenging. And especially when you come to a firm like FTW, the wide range of clients that you will deal with on a day-to-day business give you a very good understanding of small businesses right up to multinational corporations. Gives you the work that we do here, as Thomas touched on earlier on. You will see every area of the business from taking. We still have the shoebox clients who bring in the box of records, so you're compiling data from very, very scratch, and then you're actually working on, you will touch on the larger audits of 50 plus companies and groups. So you get to touch a wide range of activities from audit, accountancy and tax. So you get a wide range of experience. I chose FTW because, as I said, again, I did good research and I wanted something that suited my lifestyle better as a local based company, and I live locally. I wanted something that would get me home early, so I'm sitting at the kitchen table at 6 o'clock every evening for dinner, so it suits me fine. I didn't fancy the long commutes to Dublin, and as Thomas touched on earlier, we have experience in the company across all the accountancy bodies, with 70 plus employees here. Everyone, you will find experience across all the bodies, and they are able to provide you plenty of assistance going forward, no matter which body you choose to go with. In terms of the study itself, we're able to, as I said, we have experience across all the bodies who are able to provide you plenty of advice on which body and which course provider would be best suited to you, and that comes from experience on the job and experience in sitting the exams ourselves. And for myself, I studied with Accountancy School of Ireland. I just found that the lectures they had were best suited my needs. The flexibility between online learning and in the class learning suited me best. And the training contract that we offer here promotes continuous professional development. It promotes motivation. There's plenty of incentives if you want to progress through your training career, and it promotes flexibility depending on when you best suits you to sit your exams. And as I said, as you're progressing through your career, you'll need to maintain a diary of what you're doing, what you've learned, what you hope to achieve going forward. So we can assist with that and give you plenty of help with that going forward. My experience across my time in FTW, as I said, you don't get thrown in at the deep end at the very, very start. At the very start, we like to start slowly. So you will work on the smaller jobs. You might get touching on some audits, but it'll be on the overall basic testing. So we like to build your knowledge from the ground up. So you'll start small. As you move into your second year, you obviously get more complex jobs and more complex tasks. And as you move then into your third and progress through your career in FTW, you touch on more stuff like learn to organize, plan, strategize jobs, and aim to hit targets. The overall, what we like to promote in FTW is a team-based environment. So even on the layout of our office here, we're situated in pods. So you're set with your own team. We all have our own targets, and it's great motivation to hit those targets that you're working with your team members to hit them. And as I said, as you move into your third year here, you get to offer more advice to clients, and you get to then start passing your knowledge on to the juniors that come through from college. So it's a great, well-rounded experience.
Yeah, I'll just jump in and probably pick up on a couple of points that Lee touched off on. The likes of the teams and that, Lee's obviously works on my team. We try to keep, and actually this came up separately in an interview that we did with someone yesterday who had worked somewhere else, and they were sort of reporting to different people the whole time and weren't really sure who was who and where they're going. So I've my own team with 2 managers on it. Lee then sits with one of the managers on my team, and we try to keep it as consistent for as long as possible while actually developing growth within the team or within the individuals. So you get to work on the same jobs a couple of years in a row, but at different levels within the same job. So you can see a progression and a growth.
And it's important too, then you get to build a relationship with the client.
Yeah,
if you've
absolutely.
touched on them a couple of years in a row, and it's important to build those relationships with client.
And probably one thing that it doesn't come true enough of the lectures, that accountancy is actually a people business. It's all about relationships, it's all about people, it's all about your clients, it's all about your contacts. What we do in a lot of cases is, I know we do accounts, but you're selling time and selling knowledge. But the whole thing is based on the actual personal relationships within the teams that you're working with and within the clients. So while you could be possibly the best accountant in the world, you need to be able to speak to clients. You have to get out there and actually be able to speak to people. So it's very much it's a people-based business that maybe the stereotype doesn't lend itself to that. Now I think hopefully some of the pictures here will show that it is kind of people-y based without being sort of too cringy. What we try to do across summertimes, I know Lee picked on sort of, as I mentioned, work-life balance. We try to get a decent balance between obviously what is your work life and doing your job as people do, but we try to have a bit of fun, a bit of crack. You can see some of the stuff there. We've paddleboard and cycling. We were some of the key sponsors for the 100k in 30-day thing that's been running over the last number of years. And as well as that, Lee mentioned getting home and sitting down with the kids at 6 o'clock. We run flexi time. So I know sometimes people, again, think of accountancy as long hours and slogging or whatever. We run a flexi time system where you can kind of come in anytime between 8 and 10 and finish generally between 4 and 6 or 7 or whatever time you fancy. Take a long lunch, take a short lunch, do your hours across the week. Since COVID and when we were fully remotely working from home, we decided to tweak our hours somewhat. So now the standard hours on a Friday are 9 to 12:30. I know I run my team meetings from 12 to 12:30 on a Friday and push the guys going, right, if you can get the meetings finished early, we all just go home early and just enjoy your weekend. So we try to work with people, because as I said, it is very much it's a people business. So we are only as good as the people who are working with us. So, if you make it a good environment, it helps people to develop. Lee did mention as well, just ongoing training and CPD. As a member of UHY, I did mention that Alan Farrelly was on the board. He's also in charge of their CPD and ongoing education subcommittee. So we actually run, I think it's most bodies need to do about 25 hours a year. We run all of those hours free and in-house. Most of them are done online by webinars. We tend to take some of the consultancy bodies in for maybe 1 or 2 full day sessions every year, just to keep everyone up to speed. And then if you do feel the need to go on and do any other sort of courses, I know I myself have done a diploma in forensic accounting. I'm doing what's that one I'm doing? What's that thing called? I forget what I'm doing. Data analysis, that's it. And I know some of the guys in my team, because we do a lot of audits on charity businesses, or charitable activity companies, I've done a diploma in corporate governance for charity. So there's scope beyond the basics of your debits and credits to actually do some other work. So what are we looking for, Lee?
Yeah, so we're looking for someone who is
actually, sorry, I'll take this one. Yeah. Immediately what we're looking for, the sort of the roles that we have at the minute. is for 6 trainees. So ideally we're looking for is 3 people for our Dundalk office and 3 people for our Balbriggan office. Ideally a level 8 degree in accounting and finance. So in a lot of cases, most of the people who join us have come from the accounting and finance course. We have a number of individuals who joined us from business studies courses and maybe not specifically relevant accounting and finance degrees. We have had people join us here with pure maths degrees from other universities. So, accountancy is suitable to everyone. The people that we're looking for, someone who's willing to pursue the professional exams, that is the main focus of what we're at, irrespective of the degree and whatnot. It's someone who wants to come in and join on a training contract and actually qualify, and has an idea of their career path, where they want to go. As I said, it may not be a career ultimately in practice, but probably somewhat biased in saying it, but I think a practice bedding is a good ground for any move within the accountancy industry. Just a little sort of flavour of the type of people, forward thinking, engaged, and people with a can-do attitude. As I said, we're all work as part of a team here, but to be part of a team, you kind of need to be a team player and push along. We don't want a sort of a shrinking violet. It's like someone who's out there and has a good attitude, is enthusiastic, is ambitious.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on even a couple of personable. You will be interacting with clients a lot. You have to interact and give yourself a good showing. You have to, as Tom said, be a good team player, but especially when you're pursuing your exams, you need to be ambitious. You need to drive forward with it. It can be, it's a hard balance to get work and study at the same time. So it's important that you're ambitious and move your studies forward as well as working.
So yeah, the Alibi graduate program, I think we've probably touched on a fair amount of this.
Yeah, as I said, with the access to internal and external training, again, it's advice on the best course of study that you want to go with. And at every stage of your study, there's advice and help given to you, especially when I was working through my exams. Some of the advice and experience that the guys here gave me and even sat down with me before the exams itself was invaluable and definitely helped me get through my studies. So it's the whole thing that we're looking for is to give you a good understanding of the technical aspects of accounting and audit. And if you want to touch on taxation, there's always that option here too. It's important that you're able to communicate with clients. And as Tom was touching earlier on, we like to promote fun activities here as well as the work side of it. So there's plenty of activities through the summer we ran, and even through COVID, we managed to run a lot of online activities as well. We ran a couple of pub quiz nights. We did.
Jason Byrne did a comedy night for us.
So it's a great atmosphere in place, and it's always the guys here are pushing to get a good balance between your work and life balance.
So I think there's a couple of comments in. I'd say, Pat, thanks very much for lovely comments about Lee. Joyce, we have been a decent supporter of work placements. I know we have a girl in with us at the minute working with Nicola. So how to apply and the closing dates is really what we're going to touch off now. So as I said, it's 6 graduates that we're looking for, 3 for Dundalk, 3 for Balbriggan, ideally. If you could email your CVs to me, preferably, my email address, thomasmcdonough@fdw.ie. Closing date for CVs is the 19th of November. Our plan then is to start interviews from the beginning of December onwards, with an ideal start date of June 2022. If you've got holidays planned, we can make it July 2022 or August 2022. We're not, terrible like that, but as I said, the closing date is 19th to the 11th, with a view to interviewing in around December time, and then starting, we call it summertime 2022. I see a question in for Lee from Liam.
Liam, I suppose I was lucky enough that I spent a summer here on 3-month internship before I finished my studies in DKT. But from talking to the guys here that came directly from college, the best advice I could give you is to get speaking to someone who's actually worked in an office, who has studied with an accountancy body, and just get them to give you their feedback on what their experience were like, and get speaking to as many people as possible, because do your research before you make any decisions for your next step. It's the best advice.
I think I'll come in here, guys. Catherine, from the Careers and Employability. Thanks to both of you, Thomas and Lee. I think you've shown the personality aspect of accountancy, and how important it is to be personable, and that came through really strongly in the presentation, as well as the, I suppose, the path that you can have when you join farrelly dawe white, which really came across well, and I think that's a really important aspect. As you can see with the banter with yourselves and Pat, there's great connections between DKIT, both the BAF program, the business programs, and, as Joyce has mentioned, from placement into veering into other areas, and we want to build on that year on year. And I think that the profile of the company is really strong within DKIT, but it's great for new students to be aware of you through this platform itself. Lee, what you've mentioned there in terms of that slide around the key skills and competencies, and I'd be encouraging students to look back on this when they're watching it back on demand and look at those words that you've said there in terms of applications, and just to raise everybody's attention again to that closing date of the 19th of November, and to email Thomas directly, which I've put there into the chat as well on that. So I suppose from our perspective, another really positive engagement with UHY farrelly dawe white, building on that strong relationship, and I think encouraging many others as well coming on board to so be prepared for that inbox to be full, Thomas, over the coming months and days. So other than that, just to say thank you very much for your time, and to encourage everybody to,
if you don't mind me coming across, I think there's a question in from Joyce just to see, do we allow employees to work in other UHY offices across the world? Interestingly, I don't think anyone from here has gone abroad, but the scope is most definitely there. Over the last number of years, we have had Julian come in from France and spent a summer with us. Jake Richards joined us from UHY Brisbane and just about escaped Ireland before COVID. It was a panic to get him a flight in sort of February, March last year. So he was supposed to be with us for 6 months. We have a person joining us from the German office across the next number of months. So most definitely, we're not only members of the network, we're active members of the network. So if it is the case that you want to do as I did, qualify and do your 6, 9 months, 12 months in Australia, we have good relationships with the guys in UHY Haynes North all across Australia. So there's plenty of scope for reciprocal arrangements that if international travel was something that was a sort of a linchpin for someone, the opportunities are there.
Yeah, great to be aware of that, and good question as well. I think there's a lot of people with itchy feet as well after the sort of being sort of maybe landlocked as we have been over COVID. So good to see that those international sort of linkages are there. And also, as you mentioned as well, Thomas, before that you're open to all the different professional bodies. I think that's a really important aspect in terms of students being aware and knowing that the company itself will consider any of the professional bodies. I think that's always a really important aspect as well.
Yeah, so even at board level, as I said, I'm CPA. One of the girls is chartered, 2 of the guys are ACCA, and Alan Farley is CPA and ACCA. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So everybody well represented. Well, look, thank you very much, as I say, for your time. I'm encouraging everybody to look back on this on demand and learn more about the company. And as Lee rightly said, do your research in advance. This is the year, this is the time, and we're early enough into the semester to put that time into the research. So thanks very much, and no doubt we'll be in touch. And as I say, look forward to those packed in boxes.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
and again,
thank
thanks to DKIT for allowing us to present today.
Lovely.